And I actually don't work for the coroner's office. I work for LifeLink. LifeLink, I don't know if you are familiar with LifeLink, but LifeLink is where you're on a waiting list to get body parts, whatever it may be. That's the link you go through. And yes, they're affiliated with the coroner's office, I believe. But come to find out later, there was no record of LifeLink ever calling at that time. Luckily, we kept our record. When I got to the hospital 8 o'clock in the morning, my sister-in-law, Sandy, my sister-in-law met me at the airport, took me to the hospital. I walked up to the emergency room desk and I said, I am here to see my son. It's to my understanding that he has passed away. I was asked what his name. What is his name? I told them his name. They went into the computer and they said, we don't have a Charles Christopher Michael Evans here. You're in the wrong hospital. Get out. I said, my daughter followed my son here. My daughter has a sticker on her shirt with the time she arrived, the ambulance arrived that she followed. There's no way that my son is not in this hospital. I said, I need to speak to the chief nursing officer right now. I want to speak to the doctor, the chief surgeon, whomever signed, the doctor that signed off on my son's death. Excuse me, that's who I want to talk to. That's who I want to speak to, because that doctor should know. He's not in our system. We're not giving any information. Get out. Security. Security comes up to me, stands with their hands on their weapons. I stated my son's name again, and I told them, that they needed to find my son in the system, find my son in that hospital, and find him now. And I was still in a monotone voice, very calm, and I could not be any other way because my sister-in-law squeezed me every time she felt my pulse change. So I made sure that I didn't give them a reason to kick me out of the hospital. I asked them again, please look in the system. I just traveled to see my son. The chief nursing officer, I spoke to her last night on the telephone. This is the hospital my son was at. Okay? Not chief nursing officer, excuse me, charge nurse. I spoke to her. This is the hospital where my son is. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm a former federal agent, and it feels real illegal that my son is not in the system, and my daughter has the name tag on her shirt.
Let me also just say here, you can imagine this night and what this family had to endure. I mean, you have a healthy 32-year-old young man that night, and you go from having a healthy 32-year-old young man that night to him having what should have been a routine asthma attack that was treated properly and he's fine. To go from that to he goes to the hospital, then he dies on the way. They're careless in how they treat him. Then their family's investigated for a possible crime. Then they want his organs. All of this within a matter of hours. So you can understand why his mother, well, obviously was so upset to want to tell every detail about what happened to him that night. Just a horrible, horrific, needless tragedy that should have never happened.
In addition to the emergency room staff, they stated that they could not find him in the system and that the shift had changed. And so there's no knowledge of him being in the system at all. As a former hospital operator, there's no way that's possible. When a decedent, well, back when I was doing it, which was years ago, when a decedent comes into the hospital in an ambulance, the first thing they need to do is find out his name, his date of birth, everything, and put a wrist tag on him, okay? If he was deceased, they should have sealed his mouth and closed his eyes, okay? When I stated something criminal was going on, I'm calling the police, I called the police. The police came. I explained everything I just explained to you. Before the police came, they were screaming at me to get out, leave, we don't have to help you. We're not giving you any information. I begged them to give me the name and number of the coroner. We're not giving you anything. Get out. Just rude and disrespectful. The people sitting in the emergency room started screaming, where is her son? Why are you kicking her out? Why aren't you calling someone and getting an explanation? They just start, we're not getting service here. They got up and left. The police came, and when they came, like I said, I explained everything to them, and they said, okay. They were in shock. They were like, what are you talking, especially after they saw my daughter's sticker, okay? The officer stated, I will see what's going on. I said, what we need is we need to find out where my son is. Is his body in this hospital? Where is he? Who has possession of my son? I need to find that out, please. My daughter was here last night. She followed the ambulance. There's no way he's not here. The police officer came back, gave me a card, and on the back of it was a written number to a coroner. We all started calling that number immediately. As a matter of fact, we have been calling the Henry County coroner all night before I even arrived at 8 o'clock in the morning, because he supposedly passed away at 12:30 at night. So we're already 7.5 hours with him missing. We started calling the coroner. No response, couldn't get through. None of us couldn't get through. Another police officer arrived. I gave her a briefing. Briefly stated to her what was going on. She said, I will be back. She walked off. When she came back, a hospital administrator came out and stated, please come with me, and I'll see if I can help you. And my daughter Lindsay.
All right, as you see there, we wanted to play out a good